Welcome to Transformers Lore. Now that we've established more about the multiverse of Transformers, now we can start taking the time to go actually into the universes and tell their stories. Today we're going to be looking at the Marvel US Generation 1 comics, which is a very important universe because it's the first Transformers fiction that ever came out. Without further ado, let's get into this. Ages ago, in the Alpha Centauri system, a certain planet existed. This was Cybertron. The planet was entirely mechanical and was around the size of Saturn. None of its inhabitants knew the origins of their world, though we know better about the truth of Cybertron, as its divine origins have been discussed in earlier episodes. On the subject of inhabitants of Cybertron, they were not life forms as we know them today. As far as these inhabitants were concerned, life on Cybertron formed in what is called a technogenesis, the natural evolution of gears and pulleys into life. The inhabitants of this world were called Autobots. They thrived well and created cities across their planet. A government was formed in the shape of the Autobot Elders. Astronomy and culture flourished. Cybertronians like Mirage enjoyed hunting turbofoxes of Cybertron's wilds. The world was in a state of peace and prosperity. But every paradise has its serpent. On Cybertron, the Decepticons, under the command of Megatron, lurked in the shadows. While the Decepticons had lived in peace with the Autobots for eons, they have been really gathering strength and pursuing technology. The Decepticons view the Autobots as the reason that Cybertron has grown weak and stagnant, and they seek to introduce the way of conflict to Cybertron. Survival of the fittest is the ideal Decepticon lifestyle, and they want to bring it to their home world. For weeks, the Decepticons met up and prepared for their war. Decepticon technology was used to modify their own bodies. With this new tech, the Decepticons were able to transform into weapons of power to defeat the Autobots. Then, the Decepticons struck.
Strike, strike, with all the might at our command! Death to the Autobots and the decay they stand for!
The war spread all across the planet. The Decepticons used quality strategy and full frontal assaults to fell each Autobot stronghold and city they came across. Autobot casualties numbered in the billions. The war escalated and eventually Cybertron itself was thrown from its orbit and became a drifting planet. The war continued nonetheless. The Autobots finally collected enough strength to launch a counterattack. They themselves altered their being to give themselves the ability to transform. The Autobots established city-states across the planet to better organize the resistance to the Decepticon assaults, but the Decepticons razed many of these. Because of the Autobots and the Decepticons' unique ability to transform, the Cybertronians became known throughout the galaxy as the Transformers. The war continued and the Decepticons once again gained the upper hand in the war. Autobot casualties climbed. The Decepticon Buzzsaw was especially known for his brutality. At the more devastating attacks, Megatron himself took command of the attacking Decepticon forces. Castle Decepticon was erected as the towering capital of the Decepticons. At this point, Megatron had a new goal beyond conquest of Cybertron. He intended to turn the whole planet itself into a cosmic dreadnought to threaten the entire universe. The Decepticon Empire had been established. When all hope seemed lost, an Autobot warrior from the great Autobot city-state of Iacon came to serve as the Autobot leader. His name was Optimus Prime, who could even match Megatron in combat. With Optimus Prime serving as commander, the Autobots pushed back against the Decepticons and rebuilt their fallen city-states. The war continued for over 1,000 years. Then, 4 million years ago, Cybertron, still drifting in space, finally came upon an asteroid belt that threatened to destroy the planet. The Autobot Elders held a meeting to discuss how to deal with the threat. Optimus Prime made his decision. He would lead a specially selected group into space to clear a path through the asteroids of Cybertron. However, he also noted that their flight would expose them to the Decepticons. However, Optimus was willing to take the risk on the chance to save Cybertron. And so, the Ark was constructed. It was captained by Optimus Prime, and its crew included Prowl, Ironhide, Cliffjumper, Sideswipe, Huffer, Bumblebee, Sunstreaker, Brawn, Mirage, Bluestreak, Jazz, Gears, Hound, Windcharger, Ratchet, Wheeljack, and Trailbreaker. However, through Decepticon espionage, the Decepticons learned of Optimus Prime's efforts. Megatron saw fit to answer the Ark with his own ship. The Nemesis was constructed, captained by Megatron. The crew of the Nemesis included Shockwave, Soundwave, Ravage, Rumble, Frenzy, Laserbeak, Buzzsaw, Starscream, Skywarp, and Thundercracker. The plan was to let the Autobots clear the asteroid, but then destroy the Ark to demoralize the Autobots. The death of Optimus Prime would be the end of the war. The Ark shot its way through the asteroid belt, saving Cybertron from its doom. With the asteroids clear, a new planet was visible in this solar system, Earth.
Fellow Autobots, we have succeeded through your efforts, and soon our world will pass safely through this dangerous segment of space and travel near the lifeless third planet of this solar system before going beyond.
Optimus Prime went on to suggest that a diplomatic mission should be had with the Decepticons to establish peace. However, the Nemesis took the opportunity to strike the Ark. The Decepticons breached the hull and the battle was in full swing. The Decepticons gained the upper hand and Optimus Prime took a risk.
I had anticipated such a move by the Decepticons. The Ark and its secrets must never fall into enemy hands. So I plotted an alternate course that would take us on a suicidal heading directly into the third planet of this solar system.
The Ark crash-landed on Earth, lodging itself into a nearby volcanic mountain, throwing its inhabitants into stasis. However, something else landed in Antarctica. A drone is sent out by the Ark to gather data on something that seemed to be a threat in the Savage Land, in the continent of Antarctica. In the Savage Land, dinosaurs still roam the land. The drone finds the threat to the Ark, the Decepticon Shockwave. To counter Shockwave, the Ark created the Dinobots, Snarl, Grimlock, Swoop, Sludge, and Slag. The Dinobots used a shuttle to go to the Savage Land, and they fought Shockwave. What happened next is unknown. Earth continued on. Humanity soon developed on the planet, and the mountain that the Ark had crashed into was dubbed Mount St. Hilary. They even developed a calendar system, but even these people see war. Sergeant First Class William Witwicky serves in the United States Marines during the Korean War. He gets the nickname Sparkplug for his amazing ability to repair military vehicles. En route to a MASH unit, his convoy is attacked by North Korean forces, and Sparkplug is captured by them and forced to repair North Korean vehicles. However, Sparkplug sabotages the truck's brakes, and the Koreans fall to their deaths because of it. Witwicky would later be rescued by U.S. forces. By 1984, the Ark had been in stasis for 4 million years. Then, Mount St. Hilary erupted, uncovering a bit of the ship. This seismic jolt activated a bit of the machinery in the Ark, and a drone was sent out. The drone's mission was to gather data and transmit it back to the Ark. The drone can only recognize mechanical life, and the carbon-based life of Earth doesn't even blip its radar. The drone picks up on a fighter jet, cars on a highway, and boomboxes and more, as it scouts the Earth. Finally, the drone returns to the Ark. The ship's revival drones awaken, and the revival procedures begin on the stasis-locked transformers, refitting them with Earth alternate modes. Because the computer's memory had been damaged by the crash, both Autobots and Decepticons are revived. The Transformers awaken in the crashed ship. After taking roll, the Decepticons flee the Ark, a move that Starscream questions. Megatron is certain with this order, as his army is missing his mighty warrior Shockwave, and the Autobots outnumber them. The Autobots take roll as well and decide to learn more of their world. The Autobot computer, Auntie, is repaired by Huffer. For hours, the Autobots watch the screens, gathering intel on the mechanical life of Earth. Later, Wheeljack and Huffer construct a road leading from the Ark to the outside of Mount St. Hilary. Meanwhile, in Oregon, Buster Witwicky comes home from school to S. Witwicky Auto Repairs, the business of Sparkplug Witwicky, Buster's father. Sparkplug has been trying to get Buster to learn how to be a mechanic to join the business, but Buster wants to continue his studies in school. After a chat, Buster takes his dad's car to see a movie with his friends. Elsewhere, Prowl leads a group of Autobots including Bumblebee, Hound, Brawn, and Cliffjumper to go on an expedition for reconnaissance. They come across a drive-in theater. The Autobots are dumbfounded. Why are all these Earthlings staying still in a trance before the screen? Laserbeak, meanwhile, keeps an eye on them and reports to the Decepticons. Megatron decides to not let the Autobots make contact with the Earthlings. Prowl's unit moves into the drive-in theater, ignoring the humans in the area. Speaking of humans, Buster, his girlfriend Jessie, and his friend O are in one of the cars. Bumblebee rams the back of the car in an attempt to greet the Earthling car. Buster goes out to address the Volkswagen, but he is surprised to see that no one is in the car. Then the Decepticons attacked. Bumblebee is shot. O and Jess immediately flee while Buster stays to investigate the Beetle. Prowl's Autobots transform and engage the Decepticons. During the battle, Prowl sees the humans and deduces that the machines of Earth are not the main forms of life, but rather the humans are. Wanting to discuss this matter with Optimus Prime, Prowl orders a retreat, and Bumblebee is left behind. Buster Witwicky himself drives Bumblebee to his dad's garage, wanting to repair the Beetle that he's noticed isn't exactly an average Beetle. The Decepticons, later, attack the Harrison nuclear power plant. They strip the plant of its technology and carry it off. These parts will be used for the new Decepticon base. Buster finally convinces his dad to work on Bumblebee. Bumblebee reveals his robot mode to the Witwickies. Bumblebee is in desperate need of fuel. Sparkplug offers to convert the standard Earth fuel into fuel that is consumable by Transformers for the Autobots. Bumblebee and Buster set off to tell Optimus Prime of Sparkplug's offer. On the way, Buster meets with Jess and O for a bit. During the conversation, Decepticon soldier Ravage spies on them. He learns that the human Sparkplug Witwicky is making a fuel deal with the Autobots, and he leaves to report back to the Decepticons, while Bumblebee does a U-turn to the Witwicky house to refuel, as he suddenly needs more. At the Ark, the Autobots learn that their fuel reserves are low. Prime comes to the conclusion that the Autobots need to make an alliance with the humans to trade Cybertronian technology for fuel. Just then, Bumblebee radios in the Ark, and tells Prime of the Witwicky offer to give fuel to the Autobots. Optimus Prime leads a group of Autobots to go get Bumblebee and the Witwickies. As the Autobots leave, Ratchet goes looking through the Ark's computer memory. He finds out about Shockwave and the Dinobots, and dispatches a drone to check on the situation. Meanwhile, the Decepticons have built a massive fortress similar to Castle Decepticon on Earth. Megatron learns of the planned alliance between the Autobots and the Witwickies. Megatron plans to kidnap Sparkplug Witwicky to make the fuel for themselves. Optimus Prime and the Autobots meet with the Witwickies. Just then, the Decepticons attack. During the battle, Megatron reveals his plan to take over Earth and use it as his launching ground for an invasion of Cybertron. Sparkplug is kidnapped by Starscream, and the Decepticons retreat just as the Autobots begin to fail due to lack of energy. Sparkplug is taken to the Decepticon base. The Decepticons will give Sparkplug any materials he needs, so long as he creates the fuel they need. The Decepticons take tech from the University of Oregon and oil from an oil tanker. This Decepticon activity does not go unnoticed by the world. The United States think that the robots are Russian. The Russians think that they are American. S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Nick Fury and Dum Dum Dugan look at the events carefully, and the Daily Bugle decides to send in their star photographer, Peter Parker, to investigate the robots at their base. The Autobots recollect themselves and Prime swears that he will save Sparkplug. Just as Jesse and O arrive, Buster goes off with the Autobots to save his dad. They return to the Ark. United States forces under General McBragg and the media surround the Decepticon base. Peter Parker breaks away from the crowd and becomes Spider-Man. See, Peter Parker was once bitten by a radioactive spider, and he received powers. He fights as a sort of hero, as Spider-Man. The Decepticons engage the US forces, and the US is helpless as the Decepticons wipe the floor with them. Gears is sent to the Decepticon base for a scouting mission, and Spider-Man ultimately teams up with him. The other Autobots arrive, and Spider-Man also works with them. However, the US forces also engage the Autobots. While the battle between the Decepticons, Autobots, and US Armed Forces continue, Spider-Man and Gears infiltrate the base. Gears and Spider-Man take down several Decepticons before saving Sparkplug. During their escape, Gears falls and shatters. The Autobots and Spider-Man return to the Ark where Gears is rebuilt and the Witwickies reunite. Spider-Man departs and it is revealed that Sparkplug had finished the conversion process. The Decepticons now have a source of fuel. The Autobots, feeling betrayed and scared, begin to argue among themselves. The Witwickies try to flee the Ark, but Sparkplug has a heart attack along the way. Quickly, Ratchet transforms into an ambulance and they load up the humans and leave, checking him into the hospital. Meanwhile, the Decepticons are at full power. They deploy to finally destroy the Autobots. Huffer tells Optimus Prime about the Dinobots before the Autobots use the tubes of transference to transfer the power from the weak Autobots into the strong ones. Prime, Huffer, Ironhide, Bluestreak, and Mirage stand ready for battle. Just then, the Decepticons attack. Elsewhere, the drone reaches Antarctica, and a hand comes out to grab the drone. At the Ark, the Autobots are mostly defeated when suddenly the Decepticons rear in pain. Their fuel had been poisoned by Sparkplug Witwicky. The Autobots stand victorious, if only for a moment, when suddenly, Shockwave breaks into the cave and defeats all of the Autobots in mere seconds.